don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to be like, I can't do this. What am I doing? Because even though you might have the best idea in the world, there's going to be someone who has broken the grass, has put the pave down, has already started, and more than likely will help you. So ask. Don't be afraid.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Commerce, Coffee, and Community Podcast Entrepreneurs Edition. Today, I'm joined by Amber-Dawn MacDonald, owner of the Crimson Dawn Collective Tattoo Studio. How's it going today, Amber?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. I'll get you to start off today by just telling us a little bit about yourself, Amber, where you grew up and what made you decide to open up shop here in Prince George.
Okay. Well, I am from Prince George, born and raised. Grew up in Blackburn. And I am still there. I loved it so much, I went back. I have been a tattoo artist I've been in the tattoo industry for approximately 14 years, an artist going on 10 years, and a studio owner for now 2.
That's incredible. So, you've been growing up in Prince George. You spent a lot of time here, and you've been able to grow as an entrepreneur here, which is what we love to see. Now, tell us a bit behind the motivation in creating the Crimson Dawn Collective, rather than just starting up a studio for yourself. It's a big commitment to create a space for other artists as well.
Yes, it is, and rather than just some artists do like private studios, and some will open up parlors and shops. And I really I've always wanted a studio. I've always felt like as an artist, I wanted to have that loft style, that dream of a studio, and to bring on other artists, rather than just myself. So to create the collective.
Right. The collective behind the collective.
The collective behind the collective, yeah.
And that, would you say that's kind of your mission to, create that space and provide sort of a unique array of services to clients?
Exactly. I don't know how long I will be able to tattoo for, so I wanted to be able to have a space where I could bring on different mediums, different things. I am a tattoo artist first and foremost, so that's what I know, but I have a piercer on the team. And we are also dabbling in and bringing in other artists and other things. Like I have goals and things that I would like, but just I didn't want to basically bring it into like a bubble.
Right.
Its own. I wanted to create something more grand.
Yeah, with sort of a unique ability to grow into other places. Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. And what would you say along your journey as an artist and your journey as an entrepreneur? Who's been kind of your biggest influence?
Well, I'm a nerd, first and foremost, so I'm gonna have to say Darth Vader.
Darth Vader. Okay, I'm going to need you to elaborate on that one.
It's a little bit of a joke because he's a strong person, doesn't put others down, they lift him up.
Okay, all right.
I'm kidding. My biggest influences have been my family, my friends, my husband, my family. Without them, I wouldn't have been able to start my studio. I am fortunate enough to come from a very strong-willed, worth ethic family. My husband, he's a workaholic, and I'm also a workaholic. So it's just been the biggest influence is to know, like, you work hard, you play hard.
Absolutely, and that's been kind of ingrained in yourself. It's
been from a young age. Like if you want the big things, and put in the work.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Now, you spend a lot of time in the studio, obviously, mm-hmm. running your business, talking to clients.
Yep.
What is your favorite thing to do in our city outside in your spare time?
Well, my studio is located right in downtown, which is a blessing. We are right beside Crossroads. We are across the street from Birch and Boar and Dreaming Donuts. So, I'm not on any type of a diet.
I don't know how I'd get any work done with that close by.
We're in the proximity, and then right around the corner, we've got the Makery. Down the street, we've got so many great businesses. So honestly, I don't leave the downtown core. Nancio's we go to a lot. Twisted Cork. There's just so many places. So like for lunch, after work. So pretty much I do spend most of my time downtown. I've worked now downtown for going on, well, it's going to be 12 years now. So as much as like being part of the downtown revitalization, I'm happy to say that I do love it downtown. I wouldn't go anywhere else. Okay, parking's an issue, but
what can you do, right?
Yeah, what can you do? But it's been really good. So, and honestly, like being able to meet the hubby after work, he'll sometimes, if he can run home and grab Sausage, our dog, we'll go to Nancy's on the patio. Crossroads, it's dog friendly. So that's always great. And just being able to come down, being out in Blackburn and coming down what we like to call Jail Hill. It just gives you that kind of, you get to see Prince George and come down into it. And I'm happy to be close by the river. So absolutely.
Awesome. So you heard it here first. Get out there, explore your local downtown.
Yep. Come downtown.
There's always so much good stuff to do, whether it's food or crafting or drinks with the friends. Get out and explore. Absolutely.
And Summerfest is coming. We're coming in, so there's going to be more downtown, like outdoor activities.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, enjoy our summer while we got it, rain and all.
That's right. So let's take a look at going back to the start of your entrepreneurial journey. You've built some experience as an artist, and now you're out to create the Crimson Dawn Collective. What was the first thing you did to prepare this business?
Honestly, the first thing that we had to do was obviously, because my business name, my business personally is actually Mad Ink Custom Design. So coming up with the name Crimson Dawn Collective was my first goal. We wanted it to kind of represent my nerdom, because it is a Star Wars reference. It's kind of crafty because as a tattoo artist, we do have a stigma. And so it kind of encompasses that as well. So for those who know what Crimson Dawn is and where the stigma kind of revolves around, because it was Darth Maul's crime syndicate.
Oh,
so
okay.
There's a little bit of a play there. So, however, to not upset the mouse, it's also a play on my name. But that was the first obstacle. And then the second was acquiring up a studio space. I found it incredibly difficult to find someone who would rent to me. Visibly, I don't have I don't have face tattoos. All my tattoos are hidden if I want them to. That's a personal preference on my end. But they would talk to me and they were like, yeah, for sure. What do you do? Oh, I'm a tattoo artist. And you could just see them, no. Or we wouldn't even get past the phone call.
Right.
They would just be like, well, what's your business? Tattoo artist. No. So we received, I would say, about 10 no's before I received my yes. So that was a little bit discouraging, because I was like, I want to do this right. And why can't I?
Yeah, no kidding.
So that was my first, but we reached out. I worked at the Keg during my apprenticeship. And there's a beautiful space beside it. And I was like, I would bug the managers, nightly. I wanted to put a tattoo studio there. So Josh Van Heg, who runs Art Naps, and the Keg, and Alicia, I've grown up with the family. When we were looking for a spot, my father said, hey, why don't you call Josh? Yeah. So made the call. And what was the worst thing he was going to say?
Absolutely, yeah.
So one more no would have just been 11 no's, but it was a yes. So he was like, yeah, let's get you in there. So looking at that spot, so it's kind of funny because I guess I threw it into the world. I was like, I am determined to put a studio there, and I did.
Yeah. How do you work through that persistence? Like with having 10 no's for a location. I know for myself, when I'm thinking about a rental to move in, I go and I see it, or I see it online, and I'm visualizing exactly what I want to do with the space. But to have that, sort of slapped down so many times, how do you get through that?
It's definitely like getting punched in the gut a few times, and just having the will to just basically go, okay, challenge accepted. Let's do this and ask. And the hardest thing is writing that email, writing that text message, knocking on that door and just saying, hey, I got an idea. Listen to me. It is like, it's not easy.
Yeah.
Not at all. It's not easy in the slightest. So it's basically take the hit.
Yeah. And just keep rolling with the
Take
punches.
the hit.
Eh?
Yeah, just roll with it. Take each hit and just be like, okay, what's next? Bring it on.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Now, you started looking for a rental space was it late 2019?
Yes.
Okay.
So this would have been like timing. If another piece of advice, do not start looking for rental property in December. Around it's hard. And we actually started. I think this was end of October. I want to say end of October, early November. We started looking, and there is a lot. And we looked downtown. We did look at other areas. However, zoning is an issue
Right.
because it's tattoo is a service, so you can't just pick a spot and be like, I'm going to put a business there. You have to make sure the zoning is appropriate. So downtown core is really, really good. And I think there is a few more places out west as well. But then it just becomes price, and then you have to start looking. So it's not just, okay, like your budget. I couldn't go and like say the mall with like a triple overhead or,
Absolutely, yeah.
because we don't bring in that kind of money. We're not like a retail. You could, but it's hard.
Yeah.
So zoning was a factor, and time for business licensing, like trying to make sure you catch people before they go on holidays. Was fun
I guess the
too.
only advantage is you know exactly how warm the space is going to be during that time.
Exactly. Oh yeah. I had some key knowledge. Yeah. Yeah. So definitely time.
Yeah, with looking at that time and finally finding a space and getting set up sort of the very beginning of 2020, obviously there was a bit of a tough circumstance right at the start of 2020 for businesses across the board.
Yeah.
How did COVID impact your business's ability to operate and sort of the whole setup process right in the initial sort of marketing stage and getting things going?
So basically when you first, like, you have your soft opening, and you get going. So you take about a month or two to kind of put your feet in, like kind of see what's happening. So we heard the rumors of COVID and we're like, it's not going to come here. No, it's going to pass us. Don't worry. I think it was close to the end of February when we finally, so we planned for a grand opening. I think we were planning for like end of March. We were planning for a big grand opening. And next thing we get the restaurants are getting notices to close, I think was on St. Patrick's Day, was when we finally got the bad things are coming. And I think it was March 25th or 27th. I can't remember which day it was, but we call that the day that our machines went quiet literally across the world.
Right.
There was like Northern America, like all of Canada, US, there was all shops being like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
So for studios and shops that were open before, this was kind of scared for us. I was like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I just opened these stores.
Yeah.
I just paid 2 months rent.
Yeah.
What's happening? And we got I guess it was the provincial shutdown was finally issued where we had to close our doors.
Right.
That was scary.
And how long did that immediate close down
It was
prolonged for?
2 months, I believe. I think
2
it was May. It was end of May when we finally were like, okay. We were fortunate enough to be in the first, because I guess they put like all the categories into like 1, 2, 3.
Right.
Being a service industry, we were lucky to be in number 1. Whereas back east in Ontario, tattoo artists were slammed in number 3. So we would have been in with the recreational like yoga studios and gyms. They got, I would say, the worst end of it.
Yeah.
We were fortunate enough, actually a lot of the tattoo studios got together during this time and we all sent out letters to Bonnie Henry saying that, hey, we only see one person. Yep. We don't see 20. We see one person.
Yep.
We can limit our contact. We already do procedures. This is our life.
Yeah.
So COVID didn't really change for us. We have these procedures daily. I think the only thing we needed to do was wear a mask. And we had to spread out between artists.
Yeah, because sterilization is
Sterilization.
always such a
Yep.
key part of
But
it,
that's
right?
what we do every day. So
Yeah.
what you guys are experiencing with the hand sanitizer and washing your hands, we do this every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it seems like there was kind of maybe a fear that you get lumped in as well, just based on not maybe from a provincial regulatory perspective of not quite understanding how the industry's different from
Yes.
a yoga studio or a fitness
Exactly.
gym,
And I
right?
think we were saying, hey, if a hairdresser can be open, then
Yeah.
why can't I?
Yeah.
So that was kind of what we went for our background. And that was something that we did. We just bombarded. We sent letters, I think, to all whoever we could.
Yeah.
Here you go. So when they opened, or I guess when they started to open us back up,
Yeah.
we were in the first round. So,
Right.
but we had WCB with Northern Health had procedures and policies that we needed to be put into place, such as the plexiglass. And
Right.
because we weren't essential, there was another roadblock.
Yeah.
We couldn't get gloves because we weren't essential. So I think there was one time when I paid $49 for a box of gloves.
All the gouging in the
One
beginning, hey?
Box
Yeah.
of gloves was $49.
But worth it to operate, right?
Yeah, we were able to open. So
Yeah.
we were allowed to open May 25th. And by the time I acquired the appropriate PPE, I believe we opened our doors again on June 1st
Right, absolutely.
of 2020. We were ready to rock and roll.
So thankfully it had an impact.
It did.
But it was much shorter than I guess much shorter is not perhaps the right word, but short enough to where it didn't impact.
It didn't impact us because
yeah.
we never got a second shutdown. We were like the poor restaurant industry got hit hard with another closure. Well, not a closure. They were allowed to do takeout, but servers, bartenders were pretty much out of a job for much longer than us.
Yeah.
So in a way, for our industry, it was actually kind of a blessing because you're getting money from the government.
Yeah.
You can't go anywhere. You're restricted to your zone.
Right.
What can you do?
Yeah.
Get a tattoo.
Get a tattoo.
So we actually,
that's right.
it was good for us. I think our numbers, 2020 versus 2021, were not, honestly, 2020 was better.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's an interesting perspective, right? There were a lot of businesses, like you said, restaurants that, the core money making experiences like dine in, where there's, alcohol being served in 3 courses and this and that, right? Are getting affected, but you've got all these people stuck at home. And when the government gave the green light to go get tattoos, everyone wanted to. I've been thinking about that project for 5 years. Let's
leg
get
sleeve
it done.
that you couldn't finish. Let's get her done. The back piece.
Off work, may as well get the full leg tattoo and be on rest for 2 weeks while I sit at home.
Exactly. So for our industry, so we were fortunate. So I'm really glad. That's why we didn't, honestly, I didn't have to seek out a lot of the COVID help because we were so fortunate.
Right.
Whereas others can't say the same.
Yeah.
And when someone called and said, hey, I lost my job.
Yeah.
Okay, let's reschedule you. Let's give you a 6 month to a year because what you don't know, I was in your boat for 2 months. What happens if we could have returned, if we were slammed in the third group, would I have survived?
Right.
Hard to say. If we had a 6 month closure, no. I might have just opened the doors. I might have had to close them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Fair enough. So definitely a blessing in the current sense, right? Now to sort of move away from, sad COVID, and into your journey into entrepreneurship. Now you've been tattooing for quite some time, and there comes a time in an entrepreneur's life where they do that transition, and all of a sudden you go from doing the service you love 100% of the time to navigating complex issues like global pandemic and having those those employees in that space and those bills and the marketing and advertising and everything else. So how have you managed to transition into those responsibilities while also being an artist? And do you have any advice to share with people in the service industry looking to go into business for themselves?
Well, if I'm being 100% transparent, I'm going to say I didn't do well. There are so many hats, so many different things. However, there was a lot of opportunity for teaching, for me to seek out other business people, other mentors, other people who share my passion. Maybe not so much tattoo artists, but I got to talk to a lot of different businesswomen, and they may not know what a tattoo artist does, but they could help me figure out my systems, figure out advertising, bookkeeping, accounting. I'm not good at any of those things. I think for me, cash takes like somewhere between like 2 hours a day because I procrastinate and don't want to do it. I just want to draw. So yeah, there are days when I just want to like literally pull my hair out and be like, "Hey, can I just go back to being an artist?" It was easier.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is that it's hard. It's a challenge. So I guess advice would be, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid to be like, I can't do this. What am I doing? Because even though you might have the best idea in the world, there's going to be someone who has broken the grass, has put the pave down, has already started, and more than likely will help you.
Right.
So ask. Don't be afraid. And I am stubborn, and I will basically fail until I'm like, okay, all right, who can I ask for help now?
Hey, and you know what? I think that is really important to people starting out in something new, to just be okay with asking for help.
And if you think it's a stupid idea, that means it's a good idea. And pretty much like, it's just like, if everything has a good idea, it's just fine. Now you just need to find those people to help you. It's like, okay, you need funding. Great. Talk to those people.
Yeah.
You need to market it. Awesome. Talk to those people. Now I am only 2 years in. So like my goal would be to have that assistant, to have that studio manager, to have that marketing person, because it sucks. I have an Instagram schedule to tell me when to post, and that's hard enough.
but yeah, no, having, I think that's a great goal, right? Because you're going from, just doing the service work to having to kind of struggle to learn those skills, and then growing your business at the same time to be able to then go back to doing what you love.
Exactly. I have 2 apprentices, and whenever they have tattoo questions, I'm like, oh God, something I know. Okay, what's your question? Yeah, but then when they're like, hey, I'm having issues with social media, and it's like, that's why I hired you to help me with that. But yeah, it's definitely like, they help me to learn, and doing your own business and trying to come up with everything, and you won't have the answers starting out.
Right. But there's plenty of people who do.
There's plenty of people who do. And there's so many different places to seek help. So that's,
Absolutely. No, I think that's great advice. Mm-hmm. So from there, we're talking about going through COVID. You've had some time to kind of play ball with the business unrestricted, which is fantastic. But of course, that brings on all the experiences that you've had, some good, surely, some bad, surely. Can you tell us the most satisfying moment of your journey? And then at the same time, perhaps the least satisfying moment of your journey?
I've got one here, and this is also kind of about community too, and how much people will come together in a time of need. So my most satisfying is my biggest hair pull. Over the end of 2021, I had lost my best friend, my warrior, to cancer. She was young. She also was an entrepreneur. She was awesome. I can honestly say if you were to interview her, she would have been perfect because she was in so many organizations in town. She helped out with the SPCA. She helped out with Cold Juicery. Her name was the Prep Nut, if anyone knows her. She went by B, and I called her my Gidge, but Bibbit was another name she went by. So when she was fighting, we did the Bibbit Army. So there was a lot of businesses who came together. We had the Bibbit bands that we sold. I did a giveaway. Just personally, myself, I think myself with my studio and everyone who helped out, we raised just ourselves, I think over $7,000.
Wow, that's incredible.
And not just me, like I had other studios, Gold Tooth Grin donated, lots of artists donated art, items. I think we had like crystals. It was a silent auction we did. So we did that. We raised money. I think I don't remember the numbers total, but her treatments were in the range of 35,000. Wow. And we raised the money. We were able to help her.
That's incredible.
She lost the fight towards the end. And actually, I think we just did the climb for cancer, and there was a team of local businesswomen who came together, and I think they were able to raise money for. Oh, this is bad. I can't remember it was one of the local. I think it was the house. I can't remember the name of the house. Oh, this is bad. But they were able to raise money, and me and my girlfriend, we called ourselves the B team, and we did the climb. So for the studio, that was a big thing for me because it was something that I was able to do with my skill. Because even if you don't like ink and you don't like tattoos, you could still raise money.
Yeah.
So that was probably like my bet. Like, I cannot organize a fundraiser to save my life. The website was a nightmare. Trying to organize the money was a nightmare. I just finally said, you know what, let's just put it in an account. And then I just went, here's a bank draft B. Like, you do with it what you want. My advice is go on a trip. But she was so happy. It was awesome.
It's really incredible what the idea of entrepreneurship and being able to, through entrepreneurship, bring a community together for a common goal, right?
And it was so great to see. So I was so proud to do that. And I've participated in fundraisers before. We would do flash days. I believe when I first started my apprenticeship back in 2012, my first day was, hey, you're going to learn how to set up and tear down because we're doing a cancer fundraiser. I think he did 31 tattoos that day.
Wow.
So yeah, I had to call my job and be like, I'm going to be late today. I don't think I showed up until 9:30 that night. I closed because so it was like, and then we used to do lots of flash days for charity. So like to do this for someone, like someone who was close to me, and it was amazing. It was a high all on its own.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
it was stressful.
Yes.
But it was so awesome. So like I got to end off 2021 was sad, very dark and depressing for me personally, but to know that I had that support system really was there to have my family, and I dove into my work. So my clients, I had a couple of rules, like certain songs couldn't be played for just a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But it was a good time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's like I said before, just hearing that, and the power of
power of community.
Power of community. It's so important.
Yeah.
From there, we'll kind of conclude that the portion of the show on your journey with one piece of advice you really wish you would have had at the start of your journey.
Besides asking for help, I would honestly say the amount of hours that you think you're going to need, double it.
Absolutely.
When you're starting out, it's going to become part of you and your life, and you don't understand how much you pour yourself into your pleasures.
Definitely.
So there's going to be stress. There's going to be hardships. You're going to fail. So the only thing is just this is going to be so cliche. Just stop and breathe.
That's great. I think that's so important.
Yeah.
And it's the thing with entrepreneurship is you're not going to just go home
No.
from your job and not
It's
think
not a
about
9
your
to 5.
business.
You can't like, I tell my apprentices and my other artists all the time, like if I wish we could turn our brains off. And as an artistic individual, and I'm pretty sure everyone can vouch with me saying like, yeah, if anyone's got the recipe to how to turn your brain off for a couple hours, please help me because you can't turn it off. You're thinking about it, whether you're social media content, you have to wear all those hats. So you are constant.
Yeah. Always,
You're always on.
Always on.
You're always on.
No off switch.
Yeah. There's no off switch.
Looking forward at some advice, more advice, of course.
More advice, of course.
You've explained to us a little bit about what, the Crimson Dawn Collective is all about. And I think an important question a lot of people have when you're working with teams underneath you in general, but particularly in this environment where you're bringing on other service people in your industry.
Yep.
How in the world do you find good, talented people to collaborate with under the same roof who are going to be sort of a net positive to your business and your experience?
It's definitely a challenge because as artists and creatives, we are stubborn. We are always right and vastly opinionated. However, I had my mentor, Emily Jane. She had a quote, and I know this isn't from her, but I can only remember. Basically, she said, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And hiring people, don't be afraid to hire people that are better than you because that's how you grow. So even when I was looking for apprentices, I was looking at what kind of skills do they have? And yeah, they're younger than me. But they have a better grasp on the social media and they have skills that I don't possess. And in return, I can be like, okay, guys, let's get ready to grind, work. And they're like, okay, you need work-life balance. And I'm like, screw that. Just work, grind it out, do it. So to find those people to motivate you, don't be afraid.
Right.
To look for people who, I hired an artist who has my dream education. I wanted to have my Bachelor of Fine Arts. I wanted to go abroad and get my master's. I didn't have the money to do it. And when I was in my 20s, let's just say I didn't have the drive to do it. There was way more things better to do than to go to school. So she has the education. So I have the experience. It's an awesome trade-off. I've got artists who are really good at painting, who I think it took me, I don't even think it's finished. I started it our first art night in 2020. It's still sitting there. Oh. I have a blank canvas upon my station that still needs to be done. And that was when we opened. And I only put the canvas there to this is where a beautiful art piece is going to go. It's still there.
Saving the space.
It's still there. Yeah.
I really do think it's great for, in your team building and your team seeking, look for people with different skill sets than you that, can be so complementary
and services that you even have to look our industry of artists as a tattoo artist, but you can get into cosmetic. Right. You can go there's so many different you can't stay within the box. So there's so many different I've even seen tattoo parlors that team up with hairstylists and barbers because it's the one and the same.
Exactly. So, and you just be more flexible in who you'll take on and who knows, you could find sort of new avenues for revenue and all sorts of things like that.
And it is because at first I was very, I don't want to say closed, but I was like, if I can do this by myself, I'm good. But you can't.
Yeah.
You need to have people. And even when I think about it, of my family, my husband, he's also in a supervisor position as well. He works at the Cloud Factory. And Yeah, the pulp mill. But he,
I was gonna ask.
yeah, the cloud factory. Yeah, he also helps me as well, because being a manager, a team leader, yeah, definitely
Yeah.
need the help. Need the help.
Absolutely. Yeah. So also consider looking sort of outside your own
Have to look outside.
skill set
Yeah.
and you know, the people in your life who you could say, hey, you know, do you think this is a good idea? Do you think-"
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We before this, we were talking a little bit about the stigmatization you faced when finding a rental. Now I'm sure that stigmatization, you know, is far beyond just, you know, trying to find a building, right?
Oh,
in your
it's-
industry.
yeah.
So how do you, as an entrepreneur who's building a business around this industry, sort of fight that stigmatization, address it, and stay motivated through all the challenges that sort of persist?
With great difficulty. It is hard because as a tattoo artist, there's a stigma of it being linked to criminal organizations. It also, like, fun fact, actually in 2020, I believe, it is now finally legal in Japan
Oh, wow.
because of the ties with the Yakuza.
Right.
So in 2020, all the artists were underground.
Yep.
So if you were to go to a tattoo artist, you couldn't tag your location. You would lose your deposit. You might not get tattooed because they would be caught.
Yep.
And any artists who fully advertised as a tattoo artist were direct ties with the Yakuza. So there was a huge stigma. Even in in BC, we had gang affiliation.
Yep.
So it's hard to shred that stigma. We even had, like, just recently, we had a studio that was attacked, and I think it was deemed arson.
Right.
And so, like, that just, it's like, oh, it's another black cloud that we face.
Yeah.
So it's hard, and we fight. The only thing is, I can say is you can go against the man and say, like, you know, it's going to be accepted, or you don't accept me, and you can have that very hard look towards it, or you can
Right.
be like, all right, you don't like tattoos, that's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Not everybody likes it. I have friends who don't like tattoos. They will support me, but they will not get a tattoo. and it's hard. Like, there are some days where you're just batting yourself, like, in the head, going, like, please accept us, accept us, accept us. And
Right.
you address this with everything, like even just going to the bank.
Yeah.
And it was like, I think I flipped out on my realtor a little bit, and it was a sad moment for me, because I was frustrated.
Yeah.
But then I had to stop and just realize that he's only doing his job.
Yeah.
If people don't want to talk to me, he can't make them.
Yeah.
So
That's fair enough. Yeah.
so it was just kind of like, okay, so being respectful. When people tell you no, okay,
Yeah.
you could try to push your luck. Like, you could be like, okay, how far can I go here? But yeah, you have to be polite. You have to be calm about it.
Right. And you know, keep conveying that professionalism.
Yeah.
And you know, as hard as it is, as it can be, right?
To
When
get
you-
angry is very easily, because we've had, like, even with being downtown,
Yeah.
downtown has its problems. And it's you get angry every day when you can't enter your business, or there's things being taken, damaged.
Yeah.
It's frustrating, and it's just like, oh, more money going out of my pocket. But ultimately, crying about it on Facebook isn't going to help.
Yeah.
Do something. If you are that angry, and we have lots of people who are standing up and paving the way for the businesses downtown, that's awesome. And it's easy to get angry.
Yeah.
It's easy to point fingers.
Definitely.
Come
And-
up with the solutions.
Right. Absolutely. You know, work in a collaborative, professional way with other businesses, of course, you know, in the downtown, and that'll be your best outcome. For
Exactly.
sure. for sure. So going from there to the sense of community that you've been able to foster at your tattoo shop, we talked a bit before about, perhaps artist services in general being very competitive.
Yes.
And not necessarily wanting to, I wouldn't say advertise, but boost each other up, right, in the community as competing service offers. But how do you think that artists in our community, in the tattoo industry in particular, can work together to foster a little more collaboration in our community and outside of our community?
I think the biggest hurdle, and I'm terrible for this too, but shelving the ego. The old school mentality of not trying to help each other has to be shelved. It has to be put aside. I know COVID, like for us being fairly new, we have great goals to like host art nights, and we, with a makery close by, like it's just, we have all these sources that we could. I believe a couple of years ago there was some artists who did an art show.
Okay.
And that was amazing. At the time, I had made prior commitments. I was doing conventions, so I couldn't participate, but it was great to see. COVID did kind of stop us a little bit, because I believe we were like, there was a lot more studios and shops were coming together, and then of course COVID kind of like cut that off for a little bit. But now versus 10 years ago, we've come farther, I would say. And we're not there yet.
Yeah.
But we could be. And that's just it, is that helping one another, supporting each other's art. We have so many different artists in this town. We have vast styles.
Absolutely.
There's styles that I do not like to do at all. So I have no problem helping someone find an artist. If you're looking for like a colored portrait, I don't do those. Like what we would call photorealism. So I'll be gladly to help you go in the right direction. If you're looking for a blackout tattoo, I know who to send you to.
Right.
I love nerd stuff, and there's a lot of artists who do love the nerd genre. Even in my own studio, I have to set aside the ego because I love to do Star Wars and Sailor Moon. Yeah. So when my artists get to do Star Wars and Sailor Moon, I'm very jealous. So I have to be calm. Yeah. Let them have their moment. So it does, shelving the ego, I would say, is the biggest.
Absolutely. And maybe reaching out and being more willing to like reach out, like you've built relationships with other artists that you can go and refer people to for that particular work.
Like I come from, I guess, a generation of tattoo artists. So the apprentices who were with me, who now own their own studios. Yeah. I know them. I don't necessarily know their apprentices. But my apprentices know their apprentices, and I think that's awesome. Absolutely. They'll hang out. They'll do, that's great. But I do know that we have, like, to be an artist, it is it's an individual thing. Like, we can't like all pat each other on the back while we're tattooing, but it is a very individual thing. And the only way that we could be to kind of a team is those, like, do different art styles and art. Yeah. We all have different hobbies outside of tattooing. Right. Some are musicians. Others do like clay or photography. So like we could maybe butt heads on the tattoo aspect, but then we could like find common ground in other interests and hobbies. And I believe that we've come farther than we were. Right.
And now that, fingers crossed under the table here, COVID is coming to an end and winding down, those community events could be a wonderful opportunity to see those networks build,
to come back out. Now I think like we're going to the makery for like an art night here that we're trying to, if it doesn't sell out. And then also too with us, like we've got hopefully some stuff coming up for summer and for fall that we're hoping to do, that hope that COVID is at bay. It's never going to go away. Right. But return to normal chaos.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll end us off here with with the future future outlook question. We've come so far with Crimson Dawn so far. You know, you've been through a pandemic. We're winding down back to normal. But what does the future look like for you, and what's your dream outcome from that future?
Crimson Dawn's future, I know that before I always wanted to be a traveling artist, and I know setting roots down, like having this studio is super awesome. I would love to see Crimson Dawn become almost a legacy business. We have lost a lot of staples in downtown PG. We saw closures of great businesses because of COVID or other. So I want to see a legacy. I would love, I don't know, 10 years from now to be like, Crimson Dawn's still there.
That's great. Build kind of a lasting.
Yes, a lasting thing.
Lasting space.
Exactly. So I would love, to see more. To bring more tattooers, guest artists. 20 years ago, we had maybe 2 shops.
Right.
And now we have, I think, 11, 12.
Wow.
I believe at the moment we have 35 or 40 artists in PG. So
holy cow.
when people are like, you have to go elsewhere, it's like, you're not looking.
There's plenty here at home.
We have some killer talent here. Please just open up your Instagram and search PG Tattoo, and you are bombarded with epicness. So I think,
contributing to sort of that legacy of, you know, local Prince George talent.
Keep the local, love downtown PG. I would love to see. And if I had to move Crimson Dawn out of the downtown core, I would hope that Crimson Dawn still is a staple of PG.
Well, thank you so much again, Amber, for coming on today. You know, some fantastic points about tattooing and about the Crimson Dawn Collective and how it's contributing to our community. If I could just get you to close the show out with one last piece of advice for young entrepreneurs looking to start a business.
If I have to give the last piece of advice, it's okay to not be okay. Ask for help. And no dream is too small.